Workers' compensation insurance protects your employees for injuries during the course and scope of employment, and it protects your business from related lawsuits. Trusted guidance is provided by FloridaWC.com, your partners for workers' comp.
Workers' compensation is the only insurance coverage whose terms are dictated by statutes and not in the actual policy documents. In Florida, the workers' compensation statutes can be found in Chapter 440 of the Florida Statutes. We have a lot of information about this workers' compensation law available on our website. When purchasing workers' comp insurance, the first part of your policy documents that your business receives is going to be the information page. On this page, you will find the classification codes that are used on your policy. And if you look over here, there should be a link to a video about classification codes, more information about it, how those are dictated, how many classification codes are in use in Florida, and how to decide which ones are appropriate for your business. You can have multiple classification codes available on your policy, and those will all be listed on that information page. On there as well, for each classification code will be the current rate that will be applied to your payroll for those classification codes, and your estimated annual payroll for each of those class codes will be listed all on that information page. For questions about that, feel free to contact us, and there's also more resources available on our website for those. Also on this information page will be the limits, liability limits for Part 2 of your workers' compensation policy, and the states of coverage, the states that your business currently operates in, and so that coverage that's applied to your policy through those state statutes. And those all have to be listed out. Any state that you currently operate business or foresee expanding your business into in the next year needs to be listed there on those policy documents on that information page. The actual policy itself, here's a copy of one. As you can see, by just kind of flipping through here, the actual policy is very short. I mean, that's it right here. Because the terms of the policy, unlike other insurance policies which can be 20 to 50 pages long, the workers' compensation policy is short because all it does is it references your state statutes. At the beginning of the policy, you'll see what is known as a general section. And basically what this section does is it references the information page that's on the beginning of your policy as far as who's insured, the state, the locations, and things like that for your policy. Part 1, after the general section, there's 6 coverage parts to a workers' compensation policy. Part 1 is about the actual workers' compensation insurance, and basically what it does is it talks about how the insurance carrier will defend your company, and it references the statutory provisions available in your state law. Part 2 is the employer's liability insurance section of your policy, and that's a little bit longer. It talks about the different tort cases that can be brought against your business and things like that. So it's important to understand that section of your policy, and that's where your limits of insurance for workers' compensation apply. It's just to Part 2, because under Part 1, your regular when an employee is injured during the course and scope of employment, the benefits there's no maximum to it. It's all dictated by your state statute, how those benefits are paid, and everything about those. So then under Part 3 of your workers' compensation policy, it talks about your other states' insurance. So the states that you're currently operating business in and how you expand to other states during the policy period, that's all dictated under Part 3 of your coverage. Under Part 4 is your duties as an employer of when a claim occurs, when an injury occurs, what your duties are. And it talks about how to report that claim and everything, and the timeliness of reporting it. And Part 5 discusses your premiums on your workers' comp policy. A big section of that is letting you know that there's going to be an audit at the end of the year, and your responsibility for keeping final records so that way you can dictate the final premium on the policy. And the last section of the workers' comp policy is Part 6, and those are your conditions of the policy. If you have any questions about a workers' compensation policy, feel free to contact us here at FloridaWC, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
For more information, visit FloridaWC.com. We are proud